In a quiet corner of the Scottish Highlands, where the mist moved like breath over the hills and the ocean murmured secrets to the cliffs, there was a village that time had politely tiptoed around. Ardglass wasn't on any major map, the kind of place you only found when you weren't looking for it. That's how Jonah arrived. He was an oil worker stationed offshore, rotating 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. During his breaks, most of the crew returned home or travelled. Jonah didn't. He rented a small cottage near Ardglass Hill. It was tucked between a crumbling stone wall and a stubborn patch of wild heather. The roof leaked sometimes. The kettle took forever, but it was quiet. He didn't expect to meet anyone, especially not her. Her name was Ellie. She was a teacher at the village school, a converted chapel with 1 bell and 8 desks. She taught everything: math, literature, manners and music. She wore long scarves, even in spring, and always had ink smudges on her fingers from grading papers. So, remember to like and subscribe for more stories like this. Jonah first saw her in the only cafe in town, called Maggie's. He was nursing a mug of thick coffee, boots still caked in sea mud, and she walked in with a gust of wind and a tray of scones. Ellie, delivery for Maggie, smiling at the woman behind the counter. Then she turned, and their eyes met. He looked away first. She smiled first. They didn't speak that day. But a week later, Jonah returned for coffee, and she was there again, grading papers with a pencil between her teeth. He stood beside her table longer than he meant to, clearing his throat awkwardly. "Jonah, your handwriting's either brilliant or cursed." "Ellie, that depends who you ask. My students would say cursed." He laughed. It felt strange. "Nice. Jonah. I'm Jonah. Ellie, oil man, right? Jonah, word travels fast. Ellie, small village. You're a headline." From then on, it became a ritual. He came in early, she stayed late. They sat at separate tables for a while, exchanging glances over mugs and pastries. Eventually, she invited him to sit. They talked about everything and nothing. She asked what the sea looked like at night. He said it looked like black glass and sounded like someone whispering through a keyhole. He asked if she liked teaching. She said she liked the kids, even the ones who tried to eat chalk. One afternoon it started to snow. Ellie had forgotten her scarf. Jonah offered his jacket, grumbling about how teachers were supposed to be prepared for all weather. "Jonah, I care when people I like get cold." "Ellie, I didn't realize you cared so much about coat protocol." "Jonah, I care when people I like get cold." "Ellie, people you like, huh?" "Jonah, yeah." "Ellie, I like you too." They didn't rush anything. Jonah's work meant he was gone half the time. Ellie's world was anchored in Ardglass. But that cottage on the hill slowly became more than his. Her scarf hung on a hook by the door, her tea leaves were stocked in the cupboard, and sometimes on his nights back she'd bring her papers and grade beside the fire while he read. They never called it love, not at first. But one night she fell asleep on the couch, curled against his shoulder, and he looked at her like he was memorizing the way firelight danced across her face. And he realized he'd stopped counting the days until he left. Years later, Jonah still worked offshore. Ellie still taught at the school, but they shared the cottage now, patched the roof, planted lavender by the windows. They never left Ardglass. Not because they couldn't, but because sometimes the smallest places hold the biggest pieces of your heart. And sometimes you don't need fireworks or fate. Just a quiet village, a stubborn sea, and a cup of coffee shared with someone who sees you.